The American Revolution took place in 1775. Tensions were among the British and the colonists. The British government were trying to raise taxes on the colonies through things such as the Stamp Act of 1765, the Townshend Tariffs of 1767, and the Tea Act of 1773. This caused a heated protest among the colonists. This led to violence in 1770, when British soldiers opened fire on a mob of colonists, killing 5 men in what is known as the Boston Massacre.
In 1773, a group of Boston people dressed as a group of Indians dumped 342 chests of tea into the Boston Harbor. In outrage, Parliament passed a series of measures known as the Intolerable Acts, which was designed to make the authority of Massachusetts much more strict. In response, a group of colonial delegates, including George Washington, John and Samuel Adams, Patrick Henry, and John Jay, met in Philadelphia in September 1774 to give their opinions on what was happening at the time. On April 19th, local militiamen clashed with the British soldiers in Lexington and Concord, Massachusetts, marking the first shots fired in the Revolutionary War. In the Second Continental Congress, Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson voted to form a Continental Army, with Washington as its commander-in-chief. On July 4th, the Continental Congress voted to adopt the Declaration of Independence.
Washington led 2,400 men in small rowboats across the ice-choked Delaware River. By 8 o'clock in the morning, the men had marched 9 miles through snow and finally reached Trenton, New Jersey. In a surprise attack, the Americans killed 30 of the enemy and took 918 captives. The Americans were rallied by another astonishing victory 8 days later against 1,200 British soldiers stationed at Princeton. Encouraged by these victories, Washington marched his army into a winter camp near Morristown in northern New Jersey.
American troops surrounded Burgoyne at Saratoga, where he surrendered his battered army to General Gates on October 17, 1777. The surrender at Saratoga dramatically changed Britain's war strategy.
When Congress ran out of hard currency, silver and gold, they borrowed money by selling bonds to American investors and foreign governments. They also had money printed out and its values plunged, causing rising prices known as inflation. Some government officials engaged in profiteering, selling scarce goods for a profit. Some people sold merchandise like spoiled meat, cheap shoes, and effective weapons.
In 1871, the Congress appointed a rich Philadelphian merchant named Robert Morris, who would take care of finances. His associate was Haym Solomon. Morris and Solomon begged and borrowed on their personal credit to raise money to provide salaries for the Continental Army. While men were fighting during the American Revolution, many women stayed at home, managed farms, shops, and businesses.
Sarah Franklin, Benjamin Franklin's daughter, organized volunteers to make clothing for the soldiers. Some women followed their husbands into combat where they washed clothes and cooked for the troops.
Frederick von Steuben had an important role in the American Revolution. He taught the colonial soldiers to stand at attention, reload quickly, and execute field maneuvers. With his help, the Continental Army was becoming an effective fighting force.
After the devastating defeat of Saratoga, the British changed their military strategies. They began to shift their operations to the south. Charles Cornwallis sailed 8,500 men in their greatest victory at war. The British captured Charlestown in South Carolina, May 1780. African Americans then joined the British to win their freedom.
Washington ordered Nathanael Greene, his greatest general, to march south and harass Cornwallis.
When the forces met in January 1781 at South Carolina, the British expected the outnumbered Americans to flee, but the Continental Army fought back and forced the Redcoats to surrender. On October 17, 1781, a French naval force defeated a British fleet and blocked the entrance to the Chesapeake Bay, thereby preventing a British rescue by sea.
Meanwhile, about 17,000 French and American troops surrounded the British on the Yorktown Peninsula. Cornwallis finally raised the white flag to surrender. On October 19th, Washington's troops assembled to accept the British surrender. In September 1883, the delegates signed the Treaty of Paris, which confirmed United States independence and set the boundaries of the new nation. The United States now stretched from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River and from Canada to the Florida border. And this concluded the American Revolution.